Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're well. Thank you for joining me. You know, over the 5 years I've been doing YouTube full time, I've seen a lot of human stories, that really touch. You really think, what the hell did they go through to, endure what they did? And in a lot of cases come out the other side, and in some don't. And then every now and again, a story passes my table, and I think, how? How was this allowed to happen? Why did it happen? And how can we, justify finding some way of it not happening again? Now, I want to talk a little bit about the police and their reaction to a 92-year-old man. So buckle up. And right at the end of this video, I want to point out a piece of law that should really be enforced to stop this from happening. And it hasn't been discussed. So hopefully you can pull something out of it. Now, I want to pull this up here. You see the headline, PC tasered amputee 92 in a wheelchair court hears. That's Donald Burgess. He was a resident at a home in St Leonard's on Sea in East Sussex. Now, Donald Burgess, I think it was 2 to 3 weeks after this happened, passed away, and he wasn't in the best of health as it is. There is a piece of video footage doing the rounds on social media. I can't, as much as I would want to show you, I can't play it here because it is too horrific. Watching what the PCs, as in plural, did to him. It was a complete overreaction. Now, I'm going to read you the news article so you know the facts, but in the video, he was sitting in a chair and he had what looked like a butter knife in his hand, and he was making comments which, in any other vein, if he was 40 or 50 years younger, sitting there with a knife in it, you might have had to have acted on it. But a 92-year-old man in a care home, there could have been other ways of dealing with it safely, efficiently, and he wouldn't have been hurt. But what I witnessed in that video is a complete overreaction. This is a couple of days old, this, in the news, but believe it or not, the actual story itself, or the event itself, happened many, many weeks before it was released to the paper. And what the problem is, or what's going on, is surrounding what should happen to the two officers involved. Now, there he is again, Donald Burgess. There were some issues, I think, with him at the time, before this, took place, and somebody called the police, and we know the rest. Anyway, have a listen to this. A 92-year-old disabled man who was pepper sprayed and tasered by police officers. Let that sink in. 92 years old, pepper sprayed and tasered. Had told care home workers he was going to unalive them and enjoy it, the court has heard. Single leg amputee, so you think about this, pepper sprayed, tasered, 92 years old and one fucking leg. Excuse my language, but there's no other way to put it. Was allegedly assaulted by PC Stephen Smith and Rachel Camotto at Parkbeck Care Home in St Leonard's on Sea, East Sussex, on the 21st of June, 2022. Now, I'm in contact with somebody that's been with this from the beginning, following this every step of the way. That's how I knew when I saw this headline that it's, not a new thing. Smith, 51, denies 2 counts of assault by using Parva spray and a baton, and Camotto denies 1 charge of assault by discharging her taser. Prosecutors argue the officers used unjustified and unlawful force within seconds of entering the wheelchair-bound pensioner's bedroom. Now, if you see the video, I want you to remember one word: torture. You imagine 92 being sprayed with that stuff and being tasered, and you're not in good health. Complete overreaction by any count of the imagination. Remember that word, torture. Deputy Manager Donna Gardner was the one who dialed 999 after Mr. Burgess allegedly poked a member of staff in the stomach with a knife and flicked food at her. I don't know about anybody else, but I've had recent experience with a care home, nursing home, and there are various elderly individuals in those places in various states of health, both physical and mental. And, you know, some get very frustrated. Could they help it? Could there have been another way of dealing with this? She told the operator he's threatening to stab staff and has stated that he wants to unalive and it will give him great pleasure. I'm reading between the lines already, and I'm sure the rest of you are. We've removed him from other residents, but he's not given in. Going back a few years, we had a spell where he was threatening to do something to himself, so I don't want to take any chances with this gentleman. The court was told Mr. Burgess had a knife with a sharp serrated edge. He still has it. I'm concerned if we leave him on his own, he's going to hurt himself. The court also heard from care home manager Steve Cooper, who claimed Mr. Burgess told him, I'm going to unalive you and I'll enjoy it. I assume you know what I mean by unalive. He told the jury Mr. Burgess was very aggressive and that different de-escalation techniques had failed. I've never seen him look like that before. It looked like he was possessed. It was 35 minutes of trying to calm the situation down before I had to make the decision, Mr. Cooper told the court. Jurors were told on Monday that managers had wheeled him back to his room and tried to calm him down there. The court was told there was only 1 minute and 23 seconds between the officers arriving and Mr. Burgess being shot with a taser. So no time at all to try and talk him down, it would seem. Go and find the video, and I'd love your comments underneath, your opinions. The officers were dispatched under a grade 1 call, meaning it was treated as the highest level of emergency. Prosecutor Paul Jarvis and Mr. Burgess said Mr. Burgess was in his chair holding the small cutlery knife when the officers entered the room. They did not speak to the staff or explain to Mr. Burgess why they were there. Instead, PC Smith told him, do you want to put the knife down or you're going to be sprayed or tasered? Those are the options. Footage from body-worn cameras played to the jury, and this is the video I told you about, showed Smith then discharge the spray directly into Mr. Burgess's face. I'll tell you, I don't know if anybody else has had this, but years ago, me and a friend of mine, going back to our teens, actually got hold of some of this stuff. It was in a small canister like that, and we accidentally set it off. It's the only time in my life I ever want that stuff near me. And I was a young man. Komoto then deployed her taser. Mr. Burgess cried out in pain before both officers removed the knife from him. Mr. Jarvis argued it ought to have been obvious by the fact he had one leg that this was a man who wasn't going to be mobile with that regard. This was an elderly, vulnerable man who may not have understood what was going on. Rather than being met with understanding and sympathy, he was confronted by irritation and annoyance on the part of the defendants. Mr. Burgess, who suffered from multiple health conditions, had been a resident at the home since 2018. He'd not been diagnosed with dementia, but the care home specialised in support for people with the condition. Mr. Burgess was taken to hospital after the incident and later contracted that thing that we all had to stay at home with a few years ago. He died 22 days later at the age of 93. Mr. Jarvis told the court, I want to make it clear these defendants are not responsible for his demise. He was an elderly gentleman who was unwell. But he added the force used was unnecessary and excessive in the circumstances. The defendants assaulted Mr. Burgess, causing ABH. The trial continues. Well, yes, they probably weren't responsible, and I'm going to be careful how far I go with this because it's an active trial. But if that didn't happen, you could argue he didn't go in hospital. You could argue many things. But if you look at the video, you look at the way they behave towards him. No, you just can't accept that there couldn't have been another way. Now, remember the word torture that I mentioned earlier. Two, I suppose you could call them public officials acting in a capacity. And we're talking about, them denying what actions they took and, what charge, if anything relevant, is going to be thrown their way. Just to finish off, I want to show you something that isn't really spoken about. And I'd like an opinion from you guys. Why? Here it is. Section 134 of the Criminal Justice Act 1988 defines torture and makes it a criminal offence. It outlines a public official or person acting in an official capacity commits torture if they intentionally inflict severe pain or suffering on another in the performance or purported performance of their official duties, whether in the UK or elsewhere, according to legislation.gov.uk. Section 6 outlines the punishment for this offence, which is imprisonment for life upon conviction. And you can see there, this section defines torture as the intentional infliction of severe pain or suffering by a public official or someone acting in an official capacity. You could argue a police officer is one or both of those during a performance or attempted performance of their duties. Section 6, this section specifies a penalty for committing torture under Section 134, imprisonment for life upon conviction or indictment. Now, I didn't know until it was pointed out to me that legislation even existed. At the end of the day, I'm no lawyer, I'm just a taxi driver. I can read and I can think about things. Why doesn't that come up in these situations? Is it about precedent? Is it about the fact that if somebody gets convicted for that, inflicting unnecessary pain and suffering in a position of authority or an official capacity, wouldn't you then argue that could open the floodgates for others that may have found themselves in this position where they went beyond the levels of their duties, maybe? It's an interesting one, isn't it? And we are here because of in my opinion, and that's all it is, a tragic overstep of your the capabilities you should have used in a given situation. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, thank you for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I look forward to talking to you soon. Toodaloo.